Amid escalating tensions with China, AFP Chief General Romeo S. Brawner, Jr. promised to increase the Philippines' military presence in the South China Sea on Wednesday. During his confirmation hearing, he addressed the parliamentarians in Filipino and said, "Right now, the Philippines have small structures on the islands that we are occupying." But this is insufficient for Philippines to deploy soldiers. In comparison to other nations, Philippines only have a tiny number of vessels from the Philippine Coast Guard, Philippine Navy, and Bureau of Fisheries, he continued. Senator Ana Teresa and Hontiveros Barraquel questioned the military head about his plans in light of China's militarization of the ocean. The name of the game in the South China Sea, according to Mr. Brawner, is effective presence. Whoever has many ships gets the advantage, he continued, stressing that at least 400 foreign ships were present in the contentious waterway. After the Chinese Coast Guard fired water cannons to obstruct Manila's attempt to bring food and other supplies to a grounded ship at 2nd Thomas Shoal on August 5th, tensions between the Philippines and China grew worse. The shoal lies more than 1,000 kilometers away from China's closest major landmass, Hainan Island, and roughly 200 kilometers away from the Philippine island of Palawan. The development of dual civilian military bases at its outposts in the disputed Spratly and Paracel Islands since 2014 has significantly increased China's capacity to monitor and project power throughout the South China Sea, according to the Asia Maritime Transparency Initiative. These include new radar and communications arrays, airstrips and hangars to accommodate combat aircraft, and deployments of mobile surface-to-air and anti-ship cruise missile systems, the statement read. Senator Francis N. Tolentino encouraged the military leader to take into account stopping a 2004 defense deal with China on an exchange program for Filipino and Chinese military cadets, which was intended to boost military ties during the session where lawmakers ratified Mr. Brawner's nomination. Following the event on August 5th, Mr. Brawner claimed to have instructed the military to stop sending Filipino officers and students to China. The capacity of the Philippine Coast Guard to protect outposts in the South China Sea through new maritime radar stations and automatic tracking devices for improved surveillance was the subject of a resolution that Ms. Hontiveros Barraquel introduced last week in support of legislation. According to her, the Coast Guard need to receive up to $600 million in intelligence funds. At 2nd Thomas Shoal, which the Philippines refers to as Iangan, Senator Francis Chiz G. Escudero had suggested to construct a pier and accommodation structures for Filipino soldiers and fishermen. For the Department of Public Works and Highways or the Philippine Coast Guard to construct the pier, he declared that he would submit a $100 million budget. On August 1st, the Senate passed a resolution encouraging President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.'s administration to address the UN General Assembly about China's harassment of Filipino fishermen and Coast Guard vessels in the South China Sea. It urged the Department of Foreign Affairs to draw attention to China's intimidation and its continuous disobedience of an arbitral decision made in 2016 by a UN-backed tribunal that invalidated its claim to more than 80% of the South China Sea. The five-member court found that China's construction of artificial islands and failure to stop its residents from fishing in the zone violated the Philippines' sovereign rights in the country's exclusive economic zone. China has declared the judgment unlawful and has mostly ignored it. Along with the Philippines and China, the waterway is also claimed by Brunei, Malaysia, Taiwan, and Vietnam. Australia's biggest warship heads to the Philippines Monday, where tensions with Beijing have escalated in recent days over disputed waters in the South China Sea. HMAS Canberra will take part in joint military exercises with U.S. forces and the Philippines. The South China Sea is one of the world's most important waterways. It links the Indian Ocean to the Pacific and is a critical shipping channel with rich fishing grounds. It could also harbor valuable deposits of natural resources. Neighboring countries have contested the region for years. China has laid claim to large swathes, which has angered competing claimants, including Brunei, Malaysia, Taiwan, and Vietnam. Flashpoints big and small are common. Most recently, authorities in the Philippines accused the Chinese of using a water cannon against its vessels carrying supplies for Filipino soldiers based on one of the disputed Spratly Islands. The Philippine Coast Guard said China's actions were excessive and unlawful. China demanded the removal of the beached ship the soldiers are living on. The United States stays neutral in the territorial disputes, but has deployed military aircraft and ships near disputed islands in what it calls freedom of navigation operations in the South China Sea. Monday, Australia sends its largest warship HMAS Canberra to the Philippines to take part in joint exercises with U.S. and Filipino forces.